Captain Greg Moon here at Hatch Outdoors Pro. I get asked all the time how I got involved with hatch reels, and it's a very convoluted, crazy story, and it dates back, geez, I mean, over 40 years. And so basically, I grew up in Southern California. I used to go down to San Diego and skateboard down at a place called Del Mar Skate Park. And I actually knew John Torok from skateboarding down there as a little kid, long-haired, heavy metal, rocking kid with Aussie t-shirts. And so, years later, before we all kind of had the fly fishing bug, it goes on and on. We're all surfers and skateboarders and fishing and whatnot. And so years later, I'm really into the fly fishing scene, and I'm doing a lot of business with Leland Fly Fishing out of San Francisco, if you remember them. And I had a gal there named Jen that used to work over there, and one day I was going to head down to Mexico and do some fishing down for some roosters down in Baja. And she said, I want you to check out this new reel. It's called Hatch, and they're out of down San Diego. Check it out. Take it down to Mexico and let us know what you think about it. If it's something we should pick up and sell. So I said, absolutely. Let me take that thing down there. And I went down there and caught a bunch of fish on some of the very first Hatch reels. When, if you remember back in the day, they used to come in a little, aluminum or tin can, and so I took it down there and fished it. It was great, and called Jen. I said, it was a great reel, but I'd like to change this and this and this. And she goes, well, don't tell me about it. Why don't you call this guy John, and that owns the company that made the reel? And so I called up John, and lo and behold, we used to skateboard together, almost 40 years earlier. And so we started to talk about that, and so that was kind of my early beginnings with John, kind of reintroducing. He's been in and out of my life over the course of over 40 years. And then the funnier part about it was finding out that John actually went to Danny to get the reel started, to get his business going in CNCing. Well, I had known Danny because when I was in high school, junior high school and high school, I was actually turning a wrench for a company called Mission Viejo Motorsports, building off-road race trucks, racing the Score and HDRA stuff. And so I actually used to be down there and pit crewing and running, chase cars with Danny, of all people. So I've known Danny too as well for probably over 35, almost same amount of time, 35 plus years. And again, just a little kid, long hair, heavy metal, Aussie t-shirts, and here I am turning a wrench and racing with Danny and all the crews down there, and Ivan Iron Man Stewart. So that's kind of the funny story, that's the long story short, but kind of this family dates back, almost 40 years. It's kind of fascinating that here we are. I'm almost 50 years old. I'm down in South Louisiana, a California boy, down here guiding now for a decade down in South Louisiana, using Hatch from day one, and still just absolutely loving it. And every day we're making it better. The company's growing. Couldn't be happier. It is absolutely a family type of endeavor. And that's kind of my story. Thank you so much.